All right, good evening and welcome everybody to the Village of Webberville Council meeting. Today is January 13th, 2026. We'll do a call to order and starting with a roll call, please.
Webberville,
Yes.
Schomburg, here. Stanfield,
Here.
Walter,
Here.
Schulte.
Here. Okay, everybody please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So for the approval of the agenda this morning, this evening,
I'd like to make a motion to add the back truck to the new business. Our last meeting, we were discussing that, and I thought it was gonna be on here, and it is not.
there, is there something specific that you need to discuss there? I mean,
Well,
The motion is open if somebody wants to second it.
I second the discussion.
Okay. Second it, we'll do a roll call.
Webberville,
Yes.
Schomburg, yes. Stanfield,
yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
No. I would also recommend that we add item number 5, which is recognizing a vacant WDDA chair, the resignation of Diana Baxter with the appointment of Andrew Nephew to that open position.
So 4 would be the back truck, right?
Correct.
And 5 is the empty seat on DDA.
Yes. So moved on.
Schomburg,
Second.
I second.
Seconded, roll call.
Webberville,
Yes.
Schomburg, yes. Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, so with those added, I would recommend that we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, first up this evening, we have a public hearing. This is the master plan approval. We've been spending probably the past 6 months working with McKenna on updating this, so we'll move into that. So I recommend that we open the public hearing for the master plan approval at 6:03 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we'll now move into public comment for the master plan approval. So if anybody from the public has any comments at this time, now is time to do so. Okay, I'm seeing none, so we will close public comment at 6:04. I recommend that we close the public hearing for the master plan approval.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that brings us to regular public comment. So at this time, if anybody from the public has any comments, now is the time to do so. Yes, sir.
I just got a question. Why was this meeting canceled on the website? Said that the meeting was canceled, the next meeting would be January 26th for lack of members.
That was the BDA. That was last night.
Okay,
Any other public comment this evening? Okay, we'll close public comment at 6:05. At this time, I have no comments. For the consent agenda, the minutes of the council meeting from December 9th, the accounts payable, the investment report, revenue and expenditure report, the balance sheet. Has everybody had time to review that? Any questions? not, I recommend that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded, any discussion? Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, on to our monthly reports. First up is the police report.
Overall, had a great month. On the 19th, Deputy Vincent was contacted by the prosecutor's office, reference investigating a possible bond or bail violation for an inmate currently at the Bingham County Jail. This inmate was incarcerated for the previous incident that occurred in the village and led to a felonious domestic assault and false imprisonment charge. The original incident occurred on the 300 block of Walnut Street in October of 25. Deputy Vincent reviewed jail communications and confirmed multiple bond violations and is seeking additional felony charges for witness intimidation. This incident is reported to the prosecutor's office. On December 23rd, I responded to the 100 block of Maple Street for a fraud complaint. The victim arranged a sale on Facebook Marketplace and was defrauded by the suspect who used contact bills to purchase the items. The victim was able to provide a description of the suspect and his vehicle, but was otherwise unknown. I turned the counterfeit bills over to the Secret Service field office in Grand Rapids, and ultimately was closed due to lack of investigative leads. That's it for local calls, and then attached are the stats for your review.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the council for our deputy?
Is there something that you could possibly give Jessica or even Josh that we could put out on Facebook for people to what to look for in counterfeit bills? So when they're selling on Facebook, they know?
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, for the DPW report tonight, Ryan is off. That's been provided in the packet. And the clerk treasurer report.
Wait a minute. He's in the audience, why can't he give his report?
He is not on the clock right now. So we're moving on to the clerk treasurer report. Jessica?
The monthly newsletters have gone from print to digital format to reduce costs and improve accessibility for residents. You will be able to find the newsletters on the village website. We are fast approaching the end of our fiscal year, which means we will start working on the 26-27 fiscal year budget soon. I will be attending the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association Winter Workshop at the end of this week, and I was asked to lead a discussion topic.
Any ideas on what the topic is?
Oh, yes.
Oh. Well, good luck. Thank you. Any questions for Jessica?
That's right up your alley.
Okay, brings us to WDDA report. That was scheduled for last night, but due to lack of attendance, quorum was not met, so meeting was canceled. I don't know, Josh, do you have anything to add?
Just that the Ford building's coming along, that just talked to Bruce today about Summit Street in the parking lot, trying to hopefully get that out to bid, so we can get that started first thing in the spring.
Any questions for the WDDA report? Seeing none, so the building and zoning report, that's been provided per usual. I believe Chris Corey will be here very soon. I think he had the traffic slowdown on 96. We'll move on to the NISA report.
So we just had our meeting last Thursday and kind of a summary for the year. The big thing was that there was about 17,043 runs for 2025, which equates to about 47 calls per day. So fairly busy. That is definitely an increase from the year before, which was 17,026. Also, if anybody had been looking, there was a rain bin rescue on January 8th, which Lisa participated in, and the piece of equipment that we had received came in very handy. So that was a very successful rescue, and the farmer that was trapped in the soybeans he was rescued and doing okay. Also, the full-time employees for the Safer Grant have been reporting to their shifts as of Wednesday, January 7th. And so if anybody goes by the station at night now, they'll actually see cars there. So they are covering the station. And then the County Fire Academy started on January 6th, and they have 13 students currently. And that is it for NISA.
Thank you, Sandra. Any questions about the NISA report? Okay, brings us to attorney's report.
The only thing that is hanging out there at the moment is White Rose, which is still pending in the Michigan Court of Appeals. No answer on that from the courts. Nothing further to report at the moment.
Any questions for Mr. Gould?
Did you ever talk to Bob Eldori?
I did, in fact, Mr. Baldori and I, along with Jay Rittman, met, I'd have to check my notes, but it must have been the latter part of December after our December meeting. Discussed again with Jay Rittman what is needed to bring his property into compliance. It was a good meeting. It wasn't contentious, just laid it out there what the village expects of them. Followed up with Mr. Baldori, I did, with another written directive asking that Rittman comply with the terms spelled out, get the buildings in compliance. Have not heard anything back yet, but Jay promised that he's gonna follow through on it, and Mr. Baldori promised me the same. So, given that it was right on the heels of the holidays, I figured I'd bug him in the middle of this month and say, hey, where are we at? So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move to engineering reports.
Thank you. With respect to the Main Street project, I've received the required bonds and insurance from Reeve Riley. Those were in order. And so we've executed the contract between him and the village. And we'll just wait to understand what his schedule is to get started on that this spring. And then as Josh mentioned, we're looking right now at a plan for Summit Street between Grand River and the alley to get that fixed up. And I had a meeting with Mr. Nephew actually earlier this evening on that, and I think we've got a good plan of attack, and so we'll be pushing hard on that to get that out to bid. So, we can get the Ford building open for business as soon as possible.
Awesome. Kind of dovetails with the Main Street project, which is the parking lot behind the pharmacy. Scott, I failed to ask, where are we at with the license agreement or easement for that?
Yeah, so for the parking lot, I'm of the position that an easement is truly the best option for the village, especially if the village is going to invest any money in that property. However, the property owner buying through his attorney wants to have only a license in place. And the difference is really an easement generally, and talk general terms, run with the land. So no matter who owns that pharmacy, that easement would be there. That would be forever preserved for the village use. A license allows for the village and its citizens to use the parking lot just like an easement. The difference is, generally speaking, again, is that a license can be revoked by the private property owner. So in this case, a license from the pharmacy owner to the village would be in place and remain in place until or whenever the property owner of the pharmacy said, I'm not doing this anymore, and he could unilaterally revoke that. Part of the negotiations that we've been having is that if, in fact, the village were to invest any property in that, or any money in that property to improve the parking lot, resurface it, maintain it, we would want some kind of, almost like a mathematical scale whereby we could, let's say we put, I'm just using a generic number, just say you put $50,000 into the parking lot, new surface and everything. If we didn't have some kind of agreement in place, the next year he could unilaterally say, oh, we're done with the license. We're out $50,000 and we don't get to use the parking lot. That's what concerns me. So we did come up with a mathematical scheme whereby we would essentially take a depreciation table. So he could, if he unilaterally tried to revoke the license, say in year 1 or year 2 or year 5, whatever that scale is finalized to be, whatever that depreciational value went down every year, he would have to pay the village back. So in theory, $50,000, say he couldn't do anything for 5 years, but he did on the first year, he would essentially, and that's simple math, I think if you were to say $10,000 a year depreciation, he would then, on year 1, if he revoked the license, owe the village $40,000, because we would get 1 year of use with all the effort that we put into it, but he would be saying no more deal, then he would have to pay the village $40,000. And it sounds like all the parties are in agreement that that is a system that can work for both parties. The slight hang up that we're getting at the moment is I want to be able to record that license, that agreement with the Ingham County Register of Deeds. And why I believe that is so important is because effectively, whenever you record a document that has interest in land, we would have an interest in that parking lot, not only by use, but by actual money invested into it. I want the world to know that the village has in fact put money in that ground. And the attorney for the pharmacist, who I'm certain that the pharmacist is a nice guy, he's doing his due diligence. This is probably coming down to a difference of opinion on real property law between me and this other attorney. He doesn't want us to record that agreement with the Ingham County Register of Deeds in fear that it would cloud the title or cause a problem for his client down the road. And my response to him on that matter was, well, if we're using taxpayers' money to improve private property, that's what we would be doing to some extent. We're improving someone's property. The benefit that we get as a village, we get to use it. But I believe that having that on record is more secure for the village. And not to be too morbid, but in the event that the pharmacist dies in a bizarre event, something happens, and or he goes bankrupt and he has creditors. What I'm getting at is if someone takes control of that property because he's no longer here to explain or to understand how this happens, we're going to be dealing with people that are going to be like, I never cut a deal with the village of Webberville for this parking lot. I'm not going to abide by it, thus causing us legal problems. And that's the only reason I want to record it, is just so that the world knows, like, hey, the village has an interest in this property over there to some extent. And I even promised the attorney on the other side that if the day comes where the pharmacist wants to revoke the license for whatever reason, that's fine. We will put together another document, effectively record that subsequent, and whereby lifting any restrictions that we would have on that property. He's not inclined to do that either. The short of the long story is, I'm not certain that for me to go fight this legal fight to get down to the brass tacks is what is truly right and wrong here. It's worth it in real world application. I am inclined to do a memo for the village to essentially say, look, you can enter into this license. It does not have to be recorded, but the village is going to have to be diligent to pay attention to this agreement because it will not be recorded in the Register of Deeds. And so it's kind of like a risk assessment. I think everyone will be fine, but part of my job is to be paranoid, right? So I'm a huge proponent of just recording it, but that seems to be a sticking point between me and the other side at this point. But I could put it down into a memo formally to help the council make a decision on how you want to proceed, because it's going to be a little bit of a risk assessment, I think, as to what the council is inclined to do.
Sir, are you at a point where it's effectively a stalemate and you need some sort of direction from the council as to how to proceed?
At this point, yes, I'm inclined to advise you go forward with the license without the recording with the caveat that, hey, there is risk to go in this direction. If the council is more inclined to say, no, we want it recorded, and I can give you legal reasons formally, I'd be willing to do that for you too. I'm not trying to create work, but it's, you know.
Has he responded to that draft you sent back to him? That would be appropriate, so if we were to put it in front of council at the next meeting, that it's reasonable if it was approved, you would accept it?
He has not responded to it. I'd have to, I apologize, I have to double check to see where I'm at on it, but he has not responded. There has not been any more movement on it. It's prepped, ready to go. I guess it's just the prerogative of the council as to whether or not you wanted to have it recorded. Otherwise, we're gonna have to be good stewards of that contract and pay attention to it for the duration of it, because it will not be preserved in the Ingham County Register of Deeds.
So let's put that on the agenda for next meeting. Try to get some clarity on that between now and then. Okay. So, sorry, Bruce, I didn't mean to go backwards. They're kind of tied together. So I guess for the sake of Reeve Riley, with that portion of the parking lot, still a little ambiguous as to whether or not the village will be going forward with it.
Yep, we can pull it if you want, if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, could always be wrapped into the Summit Street part if we don't.
Potentially.
Okay, so, anything else from
I got
your
one
report?
question for Bruce.
Yeah.
You said that you were only going from Grand River to the alley. You're not gonna repave that road to the next intersection, to the
No.
stop sign?
No, it's not the plan.
That's not TIF district, is it? From the alley to the intersection?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly look at it and just see what the cost would be. See if it can be handled. I mean, it would be probably best to have at an intersection rather
I
than.
mean, right on the other side of that alley, there's a big hole in the road right there where it's been cut out for repairs, for water main repair and what have you. I mean, it's just a patch. I mean, I don't know why we can't somehow go another 100 feet.
Right.
Yeah, I think they pulled a piece of the road out to put a storm drain across the street.
Well, yeah, but I think Ryan's on the clock, but I think right there at the corner by that next house behind the alley, their driveway, there was a curb stop that had to be repaired there that leaked for quite a while, so there's a big indentation right there where that was cut out.
Yeah.
Well, we could do, I'll take a look at it. We could maybe possibly just do a mill and fill on the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it needs to be tore up. I mean, I just think while you're there, why would you leave that section of road not done?
Mhm.
Something to look at.
I'll think about that.
Okay, any other questions for Bruce? Seeing none, any advocate reports before new business? All right, first up, Chris, your timing is impeccable. First item of business is adoption of the master plan. So again, we've been discussing this for a number of months now. Different drafts of different sections have been proposed, so I believe tonight is the final adoption, correct?
That is accurate. You have the final version in front of you. There is, as you know, this document is actually two documents as far as the state of Michigan is concerned. It's both your master plan, which is the basis for your zoning, and it is your parks and recreation plan, which opens the door for grant funding from MDNR. As it functions as the parks plan, it has to be submitted to MDNR by February 1st. So after the adoption tonight, we will be rounding up the accompanying paperwork and getting that into their system. And of course, as your master plan, it is going to help you make decisions on things like rezonings and on special uses and that kind of thing as they come in. As it pertains to that piece of it, we may be reopening this document fairly soon if we move forward with any sort of 425. And it wouldn't be a wholesale change, but it would be updated to reflect whatever happens there one way or another.
Would also need to be updated for what's on agenda item number 2, which is the zoning definitions. Or is that kind of separate?
No, that's separate, or not separate so much as that is a zoning ordinance thing that does not need a sort of backing from the master plan, because it doesn't change anything to do with the map, or, not immediately, so like, it's, anything flows from that, potentially we could pick up in anything post 425, if any of that happens, but for the moment, it's fine.
Okay. So any questions for Chris about the master plan? We've given this thing
And
around
that
a
has
lot.
to be turned in by February 1.
February 1st, yes.
There's no questions or discussion. I would recommend that we adopt the master plan as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Wahlberg,
No.
Schulte.
Yes. All right, brings us to number 2. So I'll kick off the topic here. During our last meeting, there was a lot of discussion with the potential of 425. The topic of data centers came up. It's a very hot topic in a number of communities right now. And what I heard from this board is that action would want to be taken in regards to handling the zoning of those, but it was decided it would be best handled in a separate meeting, which brings us to today. I've asked Chris to prepare this draft. I believe the state and maybe the county has given some guidelines on these types of things, but so there's clarity for everybody here. Regardless of anybody's feelings towards data centers, in order for the village to manage where they go or don't go, we have to adopt a definition of what a data center is. If we do not, by default, these things are categorized as warehousing, which means anywhere that our warehousing is permitted, somebody could then put a data center there. So that is the gist of this. Chris, would you like to add to that or what you presented today?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, this has become a hot topic very quickly, and is, to get to Sam's original, big point there, it's a little bit of a difficult topic because actually the issue is scale. Any office that has a server in it connecting multiple computers is a data center, just a tiny one. And then you have, over the past 40 years, since there's been some semblance of the internet existing, these things have existed. In the past couple of years, they have exploded in size and scale. And that's what causes the land use planning zoning concern. Up to a certain level, they really aren't much of a concern, it's not a computer. Beyond that level, you're talking huge energy and water needs as well as other potential offsite impacts. From the village's perspective, you don't have a whole lot of control over energy. And we could add language in here to require submission of information on where they're gonna get energy from. Some communities have even required on-site energy generation, like rooftop solar panels and that kind of thing. And we could take this fairly short amendment and expand it into lots and lots of pages. But our initial thought here from your perspective as the village of Webberville is that the big issue you're going to run into if one of these wants to come here is water. Because you control the water system. And if this facility comes in and it needs a huge capacity of water that your system cannot support, then we have a problem. Flip side to that, if one of these facilities came in and became a huge water user and water payer, but you could support that capacity, suddenly your water system is well funded because someone's buying a lot of water from you. That's only a positive thing, however, if your residents still have water coming out of their taps. Thus, the key aspect of this potential amendment is section 3, which is to say, it says very clearly, one of these will not be approved in the village unless the DPW certifies that there is sufficient capacity or the applicant pays for the upgrades to get you sufficient capacity. If neither of those is met, this ordinance says you vote to deny. In fact, this ordinance says they can't really come to you in the first place if they don't have one of those two set to go before they come to council. It's our goal here to protect you guys from that particular aspect, which directly impacts your biggest piece of infrastructure in the village. If you'd like to, we can get into other issues such as noise. However, or energy or any of that. However, unlike some of the rural communities that have tackled this issue, you have an industrial park. Your industrial park is located such that it has a number of uses that have noises, smells, truck traffic. And while we have some issues with it, there aren't very many residents, if any, that are directly impacted because the industrial park is isolated from residential areas intentionally. And this body in the past has said, yeah, we can have marijuana grow facilities, for instance, because we have this industrial park that is isolated from residents. You could take that tack with a data center and say this is isolated from residents, so we don't really care if it's making noise. We know it won't actually have very much truck traffic, it won't have none. We know it won't have a lot of car traffic because they don't have very many employees, but we know it's gonna take a lot of water, it's gonna take a lot of power. And while we don't provide the water or the power, we provide the water. And so we really need to know what's going on there and be locked and loaded well in advance of anyone starting to pump water into this thing. Anyway, that's the amendment in front of you. The action tonight would be to set a public hearing, but I'm also interested in your thoughts on the policy item. Is this the direction you want to go, understanding that simply saying no is not an option? As with all legal uses of land, you have to have some possibility of allowing them, but you don't have to make it easy, and you can make rules to govern them.
Well, and I think another, sorry to jump in here, Chris, but another key part of this, of what Chris has presented, is that this would be, like he said, excluded to M1 industrial, but it would only be permissible by special use permit, which means that applicant would have to come to this council seeking permission by vote to be approved. Now, there are caveats, which is to deny a special use permit, there has to be just cause, but I think we're trying to put as many layers of protection in here as possible. So again, like Chris said, this meeting is to set a public hearing to adopt a definition. And I'm open at this point to having a discussion about how this board feels this should be shaped, if it should be structured differently than what Chris has presented here.
The way I understand it, I think he's got us covered pretty well. I mean, with what he's put in front of us right now. And I don't have a problem moving forward to a public comment on it, a public hearing.
And I would say, I know this is kind of coming, fresh tonight. We've had a couple days advance to absorb this, but between now and whenever the public hearing is set, if questions arise, I would say let's try to collect those and consolidate them. We'll reach out to Chris and try to address those. And if there's anything that needs to be, changed at the next meeting after the public hearing, then we can adjust that as needed. So unless anybody has any specific comments, questions, or concerns, food for thought. Are we ready to set a public hearing for this? Okay. So I recommend that we set a public hearing for zoning definitions for February 10th, 2026.
So,
Second.
Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Fillmore,
Yes.
Stanfield,
yes,
Walter,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes,
What was that date again, Jim?
February 10th. Yep. Okay. No further discussion on that. We'll move on to item number 3, which is resolution 2026-01. This is going to be our mid-year budget amendment for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. So this is not particularly required. This is something that we've elected to do just to keep on track with any budget amendments kind of mid-year as we need to adjust the budget. So that's been prepared in front of you this evening. Jessica, do you have anything to add? I know you spent a lot of time with Caitlin on this.
A lot of the notes are on the side, if you're wondering what happened to it, there's kind of few changes. But it's been a few months in the making to get this cleaned up. And I think we did a pretty good job of getting it where we need to be.
Are there any glaring red flags or concerns that you see in this?
No.
Okay. Any questions or discussion from the council on the budget amendment?
No, I love the little notes on the side.
I know, it's really awesome.
It's very easy to track. I would recommend that we approve resolution 2026-01 for the 2025-2026 mid-year budget amendment.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanford,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay. Brings us to item number 4, which was added to the agenda, which is a discussion of the vac truck. So, Deborah, you would motion to have this added. I'll let you bring up your concerns.
Now, is this paperwork here, the contractor price for the back truck services versus us getting our own truck?
Yes, the
Versus
top,
to the hourly rate it would cost us for our own truck?
well,
Because last meeting, if I remember correctly, we were supposed to think about purchasing our own truck and versus having a company come in and doing what they needed to do.
sure. So I would just caution you a little bit with the self-rental numbers, being that they're budgetary numbers, and that's money that we charge ourselves. So it's not a real cost, if that makes sense. It's just determining how much money needs to move from one fund to another. Okay? Those numbers are not including the labor cost to operate that piece of equipment, nor the cost of purchasing it. So you are correct that the numbers up above are the cost for contractual hourly rates. Those are from ML Chartier, so local company here in the business park. There would also be a reduced discharge rate, provided that we're able to discharge any sewer cleanouts into our lagoons. You know, theoretically, that stuff would be destined to end up there anyway. But this is just to give an idea to the council of what those hourly rates would be. I would also add to this discussion that I've talked to Joe from Michigan Rural Water Association. He's the gentleman assigned to our community who does all of our water rate studies. And I thought I remembered this, and I did correctly, which is part of the water rate study accounts for our capital improvement plan, which basically means any planned future expenses beyond just regular maintenance of the system. So as of right now, we are scheduled in the capital improvement plan for a large infrastructure update in 2035, which is realistically only 9 years away. At our current savings rate with a projected annual increase in our water rates and sewer rates, we're still going to fall $800,000 short of what's projected that we'll need in 9 years. So the purchase of a truck at $500,000 to $600,000 would mean that in 9 years we would be 1.3 or 1.4 million dollars short.
Okay,
Of our
but
goal.
purchase of that truck is gonna save buku money from having to rent.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know by purchasing that truck that how much money we would be saving on that.
So what we don't have accurate insight on right now is utilization rate of a truck and how much we would actually use, and to translate that into annual cost for contracting versus cost of ownership. Because there's not just the cost of the truck, there's the cost of operating it, cost of keeping fuel in it, tires, maintenance, all of those other things.
I think Ryan had stated within 5 years that it would pay for itself, if memory serves me correctly. I could be wrong.
So there's a lot of different routes that this could go. There's no denying that there are services in this village and activities that require a back truck. I mean, the only way you can clean out a sewer system realistically is with that type of equipment, right?
I know there's a fire hydrant that needs to be replaced over by the firehouse. And I think
And
there's a
I'm not-
couple
so
more,
I'm
and
not-
we can't do it unless we have.
Not true, and I'm not suggesting we do this, but technically, the way that that used to be done was with a shovel. You know, I can go buy a lot of $20 shovels versus a $600,000 truck, or pay somebody an hour to come in and do that. So there's other options that have yet to be explored here. There's purchasing a truck, there's a contractual service, there's also the option for a used truck. I've looked a number of different searches and found a couple of hundred used units throughout the country that, you know, are much newer than what we have now. There's also the option that we need to explore and understand of upfitting our current truck. So as I understand it, our current chassis, the non-Vector part of it, may have some transmission issues, but it's otherwise low mileage and in good shape. So what would be the cost of having somebody just put a new Vector unit on that? These are all things that this council needs to understand in full before making a decision of this magnitude, because in talking with Michigan Rural Water Association, not only does this impact our future projects, which I didn't even mention, in 2045, we have a capital improvement plan that under our current savings rate will be $2 million short on. So in the near term, that 2035 target, if we were to either borrow the money out of the savings that we have and pay ourselves back, or finance this vehicle, the rough numbers that we're looking at is we would have to increase the ready to serve rate on the sewer part for a 3/4 inch service line by $10 a month. That's ultimately what the cost of the taxpayers would be to buy a truck. So given that, this board went through this exercise 15 months ago when we raised water rates. And we all know how that went over. That was a very large increase. Would be a similar increase on top of any other annual increases that we would need to do to keep up with inflationary costs. So that's why I cannot underestimate the magnitude of this type of decision. I'm not saying, no, we cannot buy a truck, or no, we shouldn't, but we don't have a complete view or picture yet, which is why I did not put it on the agenda, because I don't feel like we have enough information to make a responsible decision.
I agree. I think we need to weigh every option there is. Yeah, a new truck, a new shiny truck would be great, and it would work great. There's no doubt about it. But to jump in both feet and just run out and buy a new truck is not a sensible decision. We have to shop used. We have to shop the option, and I've never seen this truck in person. I don't know what the frame looks like. I don't know anything about the truck though, but we've got to look at every option there is, and whether it's even better money spent for a year or two to pay somebody to do it, because we don't know. We can't broadcast how many times we're gonna need that truck in a year. If we had it, would we use it more? Probably. But did we have to use it? Probably not.
Well, and sorry if I may real quick, to that point, it's not like these trucks are going to be stopped being built tomorrow. There is the option to go with a contractor service for 12 months to understand what that cost is and how often we would need that truck. And at that point, the council could make a decision of, well, maybe there is a cost benefit to purchasing versus renting. You know, so that's, to your point, it's not something that we should just jump into. You know, there is that option to wait. It's not like by not buying one, we're gonna go without.
And see, I'm right there with both of you, because I'm like the pros and cons person, you know, and where you list it out, you sit down and you've got like, okay, So we have one, we could do this, this, and this, and you list it down on a piece of paper, and it's kind of like, I'm looking at this cost. Whereas if you're going with a new one, yeah, it's gonna be nice and great, but, if something breaks down after, you might have it a year, but you're still gonna have repair costs either way. And then, you have to explain it, because we're all taxpayers. If something's going up, first of all, we spent this great big amount on this, and oh, by the way, now we have to raise, your water bill because of this. You just have to take that time, take a step back and really think about it before you're doing that. Does it mean that, like you said, we just buy parts for what we have now? Maybe we go elsewhere. It's a lot of thought before you can make a huge investment like that.
Well, it's gonna be a big investment to even upgrade our truck
It is.
because the parts aren't available to fix what the
Yeah.
problem is. And like Ryan had said before, we
Yeah.
just put a new tank on it. I'd hate to throw it away, but if you can't buy parts, you can't buy
can't.
parts. So you gotta weigh the option of fixing ours. Because we all know it doesn't have miles. Is the transmission a serious problem or isn't it? Who knows? Versus buying a used one versus paying somebody to do this for us for 1 year. And now we've got an idea of what we spent on it. And we can weigh that to the option of buying a new one in a year or a used one. I mean, there's just too many options that haven't been investigated yet, in my mind, to even talk about which route to go.
And to provide some clarity, I was only able to connect with Joe from Michigan Rural Water like a couple days ago. So he and I have a meeting scheduled in a couple of weeks to sit down and actually go through his spreadsheet and run some numbers so hopefully we can bring back, some more concrete information for the council in terms of, estimated cost for different options. What is the financial impact to not only our savings and capital improvement plan, but also to the taxpayers and their water bills?
When is our next water hike scheduled for?
We try to usually do that around budget season, right? So Joe's probably gonna start looking at those numbers here in the next few weeks, with the idea of bringing that forward to council probably in March.
March or April.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
So we could already be going to the people saying your water bill's gonna go up $8, $10. We don't know that, right? I'm just throwing a number out. And then to tell them that, oh, we need this truck, which is gonna make your water rate go up another 10 on top of that.
Right.
Not gonna go well.
Can the sewer fund absorb some of that cost?
The sewer fund is well funded, but it's earmarked for those capital improvement projects. So in the instance of borrowing from ourselves and paying it back over 10 years, that's where that $10 a month would come from. So, lot of different options, not just in terms of equipment, but also how we pay for it, be it financed, pay for it wholly. I doubt you can probably lease something like that. Not for naught. I had a really good, productive meeting with ML Shark here. They're very excited about the prospect of working with us. They certainly love the village. Obviously, it would have to be inspected and approved by them, but there would be interest for them to purchase our old equipment if we were to want to get rid of it, either for parts or for repair. Like I said, they need to understand what it looks like, condition, all that stuff to make any sort of offer. But that could help offset some of the costs in the future. And the nice thing, I think why they're interested is ours is a Vactor brand and 90% of their fleet is Vactor brand as well. So.
Well, the other option is, and I'm not saying we're going with them, but if we were to go with them or another contractor for a year, but ML Shark here, we treat them right, they treat us right. Maybe they have a truck that comes up for sale because they're upgrading their fleet. They sell us one of their used trucks in a year.
I would be surprised by that. It's certainly possible, and it's a great thought. But being that these are very, the type of equipment that's very prone to breaking down, I was surprised to learn out of their fleet of 40 some odd vehicles, I think like 5 or 6 of those sit there as backups because it's anticipated that you know, so that really reframed this in my mind of a cost of ownership of, as well as, you know, just because you buy a brand new unit doesn't mean that you're not gonna be putting 50 grand into it 2 to 3 years down the road.
Right.
I mean, that's right from the experts. So, I don't really have anything else to add on the topic, unless the council does. Like I said, I'm working diligently myself, and I'm trying to work with Ryan as well to really bring together a full proposal to the council, so we know what we're deciding on. So, unless there's anything else there, we'll move on to added item number 5, which is the WDDA. So it brought to my attention that Diana Baxter has announced or made known that she wishes to resign from the board. No longer really has a vested interest in the community. I believe she's largely moved out, so not really having the time commitment or the vested interest. She's choosing to step down, which leaves an open seat. And our long-term audience member, Andrew Nephew, has expressed interest and would like to join the WDDA. Any questions there? I know it's kind of straightforward. So that said, I recommend that we approve resolution 2026-2, recognizing the vacant WDDA seat and the appointment of Andrew Nephew to the DDA board.
So moved. Second?
Roll call.
Revere,
Yes.
Schoenborn,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Welcome aboard, Andrew. Jessica or somebody from the village office will work with you on getting you sworn in.
What's Andrew's last name?
Nephew.
Nephew?
Yes. Okay, that brings us to the end of new business. And at this time, we'll open up for our second round of public comment at 6:52. Yes, sir.
John Leonard, village resident. Mr. President, I've got a few items here that I'm concerned about as things that are going on in the village, and I would like to have some address to this. Number one is going to be addressed to the village attorney. If he can answer this with just a yes or no. Is there again a pending lawsuit, legal action against the village and yourself as the president concerning the firing of a former employee? Is there a yes or no on that? Or refusal to answer?
This is public comment.
It's a question for the attorney. Is there a pending lawsuit? Yes or no? I know that there's been a serving, so I just want to hear it as a public record, yes or no. And I'm taking that this failure to answer is the comment I'm going to get tonight. Okay, move on. Concern out of control spending as a result of legal advice. White Rose is an issue. Attorney fees continue to rise. I'm not saying that's the fault of the attorney, but the council needs to be aware this is costing or potentially costing us through attorney fees. And we as the taxpayers are going to be responsible ultimately for this. The Eagle fine, $32,500. This was paid as a result of action on the village at the taxpayer's expense. The equipment request for potential equipment, my concern is, could this lead to potential property damage, again, involving legal fees and increased legal costs passed on to the village? And this hydrovac, again, as I'm concerned about property damage or potential litigation from property owners. The budget, I just want to say, in my opinion, that the budget, the village budget, the taxpayers' dollars is not a personal spending account for the village president. That's my opinion, and I need to express that. Now, I would like to explain why if it's possible. I'm told that a village employee, again, was disciplined. And again, there's probably a potential for legal fees as a result of the president's decision-making. And I just want to remind the council, and I know my time is up, one more comment. The council has the ultimate control over the decision-making of this body. And it's in my opinion that this council should take control and control what is being decided at this board. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Any other public comment this evening? Okay, I'm seeing none, so we will close public comment at 6:56. As far as the president's comments, Scott, I know this is my section, but is there anything that you want to address in that public comment?
I'm happy to. Yes, there is a pending lawsuit that's been filed in the Ingham County Circuit Court, I believe. I'm not handling the matter. It's being taken up by our insurance provider, their attorneys. So I can't, I sincerely don't have any more information than that. The attorneys through the MML have that now in their possession through our insurance policy. The White Rose, yes, and the very reason why this is still pending in the Michigan Court of Appeals is that right now I have secured a judgment for all my attorney fees in relation to the White Rose matter, and that is what they're essentially appealing. The defendant, White Rose, is essentially saying, don't make me responsible for all these attorney fees, where the Circuit Court of Ingham County has already said, White Rose, you pay the village of Webberville for all the attorney fees. So that's the piece that's in the air. I think, is that it for the attorney questions?
I believe so.
Okay.
So, all other questions, we'll try to get back to you within a week. I have no further comments beyond that, which brings us to comments from the council.
Just like to say thank you for your time.
Jessica, was the check made out to Eagle? So then that fine is definitely taken care of. Mr. Bull, this question is then for you. Since we weren't even allowed to discuss that until Eagle rendered their decision, we paid. Is this now the time that you write a termination letter for Shane Batliff?
Well, I
And
believe,
we put this to bed?
I believe so. Well, let me back up. I believe that the matter's already been resolved. I would have to go back and check with the minutes or the village record. I believe the matter was handled by former President Brad Hitchcock. I have to double check that.
Yeah, but you had said, if memory serves me correctly,
Yep.
said that you could not give him a letter of termination until we found out what Eagle was going to do and the Eagle fine.
Yeah, and I will have to double check all that. And that was a position at one time, but I gotta go back and double check because I have, for whatever reason, I'm believing that former President Hitchcock terminated the employment officially. But I will double check that. And if that has not happened, then yes, an official termination letter would have to be dispatched.
Okay, and council does not need to approve that at that point?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
The normal course of business of any kind of disciplinary action or discharge, the employees are given a 5-day window to grieve any action, whereby that grievance then could come back in front of the council for review.
Okay. And is there any way to recover the $32,500 fine?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'd be willing to check into it. But as far as I know, from what I haven't gone through this at this very moment, are you saying like to seek damages from an individual?
Well, yeah, we're out that money for something that he ultimately caused.
Yeah, I do not believe that is an option, but I can double check that.
Any other comments from the council for this evening? Seeing none, so is there a motion to adjourn?
I will make motion to adjourn at
Our second.
6:09 PM.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
All opposed? Thank you all for coming.